Hello, everyone. We're so excited for you to be here. We are going to just wait a couple more minutes to let some more people jump on. So I have my microphone muted, but we are here. We're just kind of waiting for some more people to jump on. So excited to have you. Thank you. Okay, Sierra, I can see you. So can you see the screen with the different Instagram accounts? Perfect. Okay, thank you. So as we wait just a couple more minutes for more people to jump on, this is kind of where we're going to start. So if you are not already following the Instagram account for your builder's trip, this is a great time to go and follow along. These Instagram accounts are where all the updates while your builders are on the trip will be posted. The parent builders that are on the trips, it's actually their responsibility to every day post at least once, and most times they'll post more than once. So pictures and videos of things that are happening. And so go follow along. We have some great social media posts that are going to be posted from now until the trips start that kind of give some good information about these locations that we're traveling to, some fun facts. So as we wait just maybe 1 or 2 more minutes, go ahead and follow along on your trip Instagram account, and we'll get started in just a second. We're so excited for everyone to be here. Thank you.
Hey, I have a question. Is the trip for Jordan included in this session, or am I in the wrong session?
The Jordan one is for later today, I believe at 1 o'clock Mountain Time. So
all right,
if
we
you
are
want
going to
to
get started. We're so
hop
excited
on later,
to
that's
be
great.
here. Just for a really
you.
quick brief introduction, my name is Isaiah. This is Izzy. And we work here in the Humanitarian Experience Office, HXP office here in Salt Lake City, Utah. We are kind of more on the what's called the builder experience team. So we work a lot with you parents. Whenever you call or email us, we're here behind the scenes. We work on communications and marketing and social media and lots of things. So we're really excited to be here to have this little session with you guys and to kind of get going. Just to introduce 2 other people that are joining us here in our meeting today. We have Katie.
Hi.
Katie is our program designer for these Oceana trips, as well as Hollis.
Hello.
And Hollis helps design these programs, helps create these wonderful experiences. And Hollis actually is going to give some maybe good insights. He was just recently scouting in Thailand, as well as Katie was in some of these other countries just a couple months ago. So we're so excited. We're getting really close to summer being here. And so we know that we're going to be able to give you some, hope we can give you some good information today. To get started, Let's do a couple other quick things. So this is just kind of an overview. We're going to give you a quick overview of what HXP is. We're going to go through the pre-submitted questions that you guys submitted, which we're so thankful for that. And then if there's time at the end, we will do kind of a live Q&A where you can submit questions in the chat. We will try to be done with the pre-submitted questions at a quarter till, so that way then the last 15 minutes, if you're done and you got your questions answered, you can hop off, and if not, then you can put your questions in the chat.
Is this one for Malta as well?
We do have a staff member here in the office. Her name is Kate. You probably can see her on Zoom, maybe not, but she's here in the office as well. She's going to be helping us manage the chat. The only request that we have is that we keep the questions in the chat that they stay on the same subject that we're talking about. So if we're talking about flights and travel, and there's an additional question that you have that we maybe haven't covered, then you ask your question about flights and travel then, rather than while we're talking about flights and travel, you're asking about clean water. Just so that way, parents, you guys at Zoom, you're not trying to split your attention between what we're presenting and talking about and what's happening in the chat. So we're super excited to get started. So just a little bit about HXP. We were founded in 1999. We are traveling to 47 global locations this summer. We've expanded quite a bit, and we're super grateful and excited for that. This summer, we'll have about a little more than 5,000 participants who will be traveling all around the world to those 47 global locations. With our growth of the program, we've also grown here in the office. We have about 45 office staff members working differences between part-time and full-time and internships and all sorts of stuff. So we have a lot of hands working to make everything go smoothly. And then a really just kind of fun fact that we love to talk about is our trip leaders. Actually, there's about a less than 10% acceptance rate. So we have about 302 trip leaders this year, and we're so grateful for everything that they will be doing in preparations to make this summer wonderful. So talking a little bit about our trip methodology. So positive peer groups. We really truly believe that positive peer groups are just one of the greatest things that come out from these trips. The group me messages from the just experiences and friendships that they build on these trips really last for a lifetime. And we see that for years and years after, they're able to still communicate with their groups and have that line of support and love and friendship. Our digital detox sometimes is one of the scariest things for these teenagers. It maybe has been never or a long time since they've gone totally without TV, music. As far as music playing on their own, we do have music on the work site and stuff. So, but without their phones, social media, it's always kind of a scary thing for the builders to turn in their phones and know that they're not going to have it for 2 weeks. But without fail, landing back in the international airports back in the US when we come back, we always have builders that are like, oh, do I really have to get my phone back? This was so enjoyable without it. So we really believe that digital detox is wonderful. Sustainable service. We do so much research and work to make sure that what we're doing in these countries is going to be sustainable. We never want to hurt communities that we're working with. And that goes from making sure that we're buying our resources from local vendors so that we're supporting them, but that we're also careful about that so that we're not depleting anyone of their resources in the area. Again, our top tier trip leaders, we are so grateful for them, and we honestly have the best of the best that are trip leaders for this coming summer. And then it all kind of comes back to what we really love, and that's our Savior and the gospel-centered environment that we provide. So that is a little bit about our methodology and what we do here, but we're going to jump right into questions. So our first set of questions: do the builders meet up before or after the security? I'm going to answer this one, and then I'll have Izzy answer this next question about when we should purchase flights. So as far as do the builders meet up before or after security in the airport? Your builder will fly from whatever domestic airport or place you're coming from. Say you're coming from Texas and you're flying to LAX. Once you land in LAX, your builder will need to get off the plane, go pick up their checked luggage, and then they'll leave the terminal and leave security to then meet up with their group. So we meet outside of the check-in desk. And most oftentimes it's right around where they'll check in through their airline. So if they're flying with like American Airlines, then that's where they'll meet, is through that international terminal for American Airlines desk. The group me messages will be used a lot for this time, as your builder will receive exact instructions and pictures from the trip leaders of where to meet. the trip leaders fly in several hours before the builders to make sure that they're there to help them. And then just we'll kind of cover this in a second, but like making sure that you land 4 hours before their departure time so that there's enough time for your builder to get their luggage, meet up with the group. Then we'll, as one big group, we'll check in at the desk, check everyone's check bags, go through security and get to the gate. So that is a little bit about how we meet up before, or I'm sorry, we'll meet up before security before going together through a group.
Totally. And when should you purchase your flights? You'll get your travel information. Some of you have already received 90 days before your trip, and it'll be on your portal. So it'll say like you said, be at this airport at this time. And it's kind of up to you guys when you want to buy them, but we recommend that 90 to 70 days, 75 days before, just because ticket prices fluctuate.
Yeah. All right, moving on. How early do they need to be at the airport? So on your portal, I'm going to show this next page because this will give you a better idea. So 90 days before your trip departure date, you will find this on your builder portal. It's underneath the travel info tab. And it will tell you right here in this yellow circle, this is the information you need to know. So it'll say something like this trip was going to Belize. We're just using it as an example, but it'll say they're meeting up at Miami International Airport, flying with American Airlines, and they depart at 12:09 p.m. So that those builders would need to find a flight that gets them to Miami 4 hours before that 12:09 p.m. And then here's your return flight information saying that they're going to land in Miami on their way back home at 12 p.m. and you'll need to book your flight back to your home airport 2 hours after that. So once you see this information pop up 90 days before your trip, then you'll buy your flights and you'll come in and put in, I'm flying from this place on this flight, leaving, da, 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 da. You'll put all the information in there. That information is really important for us to have. So that way, if there's a delay or something going on, we already have your builder's domestic flight information without having to play phone tag and reach out to you to get that. So that is a little bit about that. And then I'm going to go quickly back to this. If you have any other like specific travel or flight questions, we're more than willing to help you out if you'll just reach out to us by emailing us here or giving us a call. All right, we're going to talk about luggage. Izzy, do you want to talk about this one?
Yes, I'd love to. So how does the luggage work? I saw that they have to bring their main bag to the first sightseeing event. Anyhow, so their checked luggage, it will be at the hotel, and that first sightseeing weekend, they'll want to bring a smaller bag with things that they'll need. And it's kind of what will my builder need for that first sightseeing weekend? More direction is going to be given from the trip leaders in May when they get entered into the group meeting, because it's entirely dependent on the trip, on your specific trip location, and what that first sightseeing weekend looks like. But as you can imagine, you'll want, your toiletries and pajamas and things like that. But keep an eye out. Make sure your builders are in the group meet and that they're watching it, because important information does get filtered through there from the.
Yeah. And it's not always that their main big check bag goes immediately to the hotel before they go for their first sightseeing weekend, but sometimes it does. I would just say shoot for knowing that it probably will be that way. And even if it's not and they have their large check bag with them for their first sightseeing weekend, it's always easier just to have things quickly in their carry-on or in their backpack without having to unzip their whole big bag and dig things out. So, and then once they get to the hotel for the rest of the trip, then they can kind of unpack. How often will they be able to do laundry? So usually they do laundry about 1 week into the trip. It kind of varies. Sometimes there's a local ward member that likes to help out. Sometimes the hotel that they're staying at, their service is there. So it kind of varies, but usually about once halfway through the trip, they'll be able to do laundry. Something that's kind of important, and you can talk to your builders about, and it'll be talk to them from their trip as well. But sometimes they will wait till last minute that they're out of clothes, clean clothes, and they'll send it off to get cleaned. But then sometimes it takes a day or two to get back, and then they're wearing dirty clothes for a day or two. So to kind of keep that in mind and make sure, okay, I have a clean set of clothes for a day or two while my rest of my clothes get sent off to be cleaned. So it's not usually quite as easy as here in the US, where we just kind of walk to another room in our house and throw it in the washer, and an hour or two later it's done. So, okay, let's talk about dress code, Izzy.
Yeah. Is there a dress code? Can shorts be worn for leisure activities? Pants are required for the work site. That is no exceptions. And shorts are definitely allowed, but definitely be cautious of each culture. being the nature of your trips, being Oceana, it's going to be hot and you're going to be in the water a lot. So with that, talking about swimsuits, we don't have like a hard, fast rule on swimsuits, but you will be doing a lot of very active water activities. And so make sure that your builders know that whatever swimsuit they do wear, that they aren't worried about like pulling it or making sure that they are like, all covered up. We want them to be more focused on the fun and the enjoyment of the water activities.
Perfect. I'm going to have Katie actually hop in on this one as well, since she's been to several of these locations. She's planned them to maybe talk about this a little more.
Yes. So culture-wise, especially in Oceania, so in like the islands and also like in Thailand, and they are very conservative countries and like have gotten offended like easily if our builders are not dressed appropriately. So we are in the process of training the trip leaders to talk to the builders about how they can make sure like the builders are dressing appropriately. But the main thing would just be to not wear like too revealing or too short of shorts. And especially like if they are in a village, they have very strict rules where we are gonna have like sarongs or like lavas that they can wrap around. And so we'll make sure like the youth will buy that there. But always just making sure that like they know it's because of culture, not just because we're trying to tell them to be modest, but because we want to respect the local culture.
Sweet. Thank you, Katie. Katie is fantastic. She's putting so much work into these trips, and they honestly are going to be incredible. So we're so excited for your builders. I wish they could all sit down with Katie and get to know her, because she's just absolutely amazing. So, okay, we're going to move on to our next question. So should my builder bring card or cash? How much should they bring? This is a great question. So kind of an easy answer is a card is always good to bring. Now, bringing money. So how much? It also depends on what kind of a spender your builder is. So meals are provided, sightseeing's provided, transportation's provided. There's nothing that they like need to pay for. It's more of like fun things, souvenirs, snacks, treats at the little local store down the street, that kind of stuff. So if your builder is someone that's gonna like want to every day or every other day go and buy some like new candies and treats and drinks, then maybe bring a little bit more. If they're coming and they're just gonna buy a little bracelet for each one of their siblings or their cousins, probably not quite as much. So honestly, right around like the 100, 150 is probably plenty. But again, it does depend on what kind of a spender your builder is. And so then bringing a card is also just a great option, so that if they say they bring, $75 and they spend it all and they all of a sudden realize they want a little bit more, then they can pull more out. As far as money, I think we had a little bit more of a specific question that was kind of like, should they do their exchange of money before or after they leave? They can do it there in country. A lot of times right there in the airport when they get there. So great questions. Okay, next question.
Yes. When will my builder's phone get turned in / be returned to them? Every trip leader does this a little bit differently, but general rule, they'll obviously for their domestic flight, when they're going to the international airport where they meet up, they'll have it. And then before their international flight, it'll be taken, and then they won't have it the whole trip. But then when they return and once they land back in the US, the trip leaders will return to them, and then they'll move on to wherever you guys live.
Perfect. Okay. Bringing a physical vaccine card. So yes, this is actually something that's very important for these Oceana trips. You need to bring the original vaccine card. And that card cannot be laminated. It can't be, it has to be like the original cardstock card. Okay. This is actually per request of several of these countries that they'll be flying to, and the airports. They're pretty strict about wanting to see the original card. So no photocopies of it. It's fine if you were to even make a photocopy of it and even stick it in your builder's luggage. So say if they were to lose it, then we have like another physical copy of it, something to like pull up if we need it in a last minute pinch. But the actual copy or the actual card itself is what is necessary. So as far as passports, the trip leaders will take all their passports when they're landed there in country and they're done flying and traveling. they'll take their passports, they'll keep a hold of them the whole entire time in a dry, wet bag. So kind of a bag that like no moisture or anything can get into. And a great idea that from one of our previous trip leaders was to take that vaccine card and just even lightly tape it or paper clip it to the inside of the passport cover. So that way it's kind of all the important documents right there in one place. Okay, Izzy, you want to talk about this one?
Yes. So will photos be shared with parents during the trip? Yes, those Instagram handles that were shown at the very beginning of these slides, follow those. And one of the parent builders, one of their jobs is to post on Instagram every day of the builders and what they're doing. And so you'll see them on the work site. You'll see them at the, having fun at their different sightseeing activities. So make sure you're doing that. And then builders can bring digital cameras, and they should.
Yeah.
If they want pictures of their trip that they took. So.
Yeah. Kind of going with that, someone I think asked a more specific question of like, will they be able to have their phones take pictures? No. So their phones will be turned in. So you'll want to bring either like disposable cameras that they can come back and get made into pictures, or they'll want to bring a digital camera. If you do bring a digital camera, which most builders do, make sure you've got the universal adapter for whatever country you're traveling to be able to charge it. And then every trip will have one builder that kind of is picked as the content creator. And so they can bring their camera to like the work site. We usually don't let cameras come to the work site just for safety, and we don't want things stolen or taken. And so that one builder on the trip that is like the kind of the designated content creator will be able to bring their camera to the work site to take pictures there and have those memories that they can then share. Once they get back from the trip, most builders and trips will just create like a Google folder and share all their pictures together so that they can all kind of participate in that. So Izzy, do you want to take this next one as well?
Yes. What's your plan for any builder that gets sick on the trip? We have first aid kits. This is another job of the parent builders to always have the first aid kit with them, even if you're just getting off the bus to go in to get ice cream and then get right back onto the bus. Like the parent builder's there and they have the first aid kit. And it has everything that you can think of that they might need. We also have trip leaders that are CPR certified and a 24-hour emergency line. We've got an on-call doctor that helps us out every summer that at 24/7 we call him and explain something and he's able to help us out. It's awesome. But there is a pro tip that if you know your builder will probably need a Band-Aid, which they probably will, or some ibuprofen, cough drops, feminine hygiene products, these things that they're probably going to need, send it with them separately. Yes, we'll have it in the first aid kit always, but bring it. If builders are bringing them with them, then we can save these items for the first aid kit and for emergencies. So definitely do that when you're packing. Bring those things.
Perfect. All right, let's keep going. And we just want to say thank you again to Kate, who is answering questions in the chat. Just a couple of things that I maybe want to cover before we keep moving on. So if you've already laminated it, I would go and get a new card, even if you then have two, right? But make sure you have one that's not laminated to travel. And that is just the COVID-19 vaccine card, not your full immunization history. As far as electronics, yes, Kate, that was a great example. Apple Watches, Kindles, laptops, iPads, iPods, all that will be taken. So yeah, just leave it at home even if you don't need it. Like Apple Watch, you're probably okay flying for a couple hours without an Apple Watch. That way it's not one extra thing that the trip leaders have to store and carry. So, okay, moving on to, is it true that Thailand is requiring international health insurance? So yes, it is true. This international health insurance is kind of a tricky thing, and some of these things are kind of changing quite often. So I'm going to maybe have Katie help out with this one, but if I'm remembering correctly, we have the COVID blogs created for every trip. So the COVID blog can be found on our website, as well as here in the next couple of weeks, that COVID blog link, it was originally emailed to you, but that COVID blog link will be added to your builder's portal as we get closer to the trips. But that's really where we're going to keep all that kind of information updated, right, Katie?
Yeah, and so be checking that frequently because, I mean, as you know, they change COVID information all the time. And so we are like constantly checking it. So I would just make sure that 2 weeks before your trip, you really because it might change from now till 2 weeks before your trip, that you're being aware of that. But everything you need to know will be on the blog.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Katie. All right, let's keep going. Let's see here. And thank you, Kate. Just actually linked in the chat the COVID-19's location-specific blog post. So you can bookmark that if you want. Okay, will our builders need any specific shots or immunizations for their trip to the Oceana trips? So, bless you. So for that, no. The only thing we need you to know is if your builder is going to Jerusalem or Malta, Jerusalem and Malta require 1 booster shot in addition to either the 2 doses of Pfizer or Moderna. If they have Johnson & Johnson, it's just the 1. But if they're going to Jerusalem or Malta, it is required to have the booster shot to get there. So again, check those COVID blogs for the most up to date. And then kind of along the same lines, are all trips inside and outside of the US requiring the COVID vaccine? Yes. This honestly isn't necessarily even a decision that it's like just a couple of us here in the office have decided to make it a requirement for everyone. This is something that is coming all the way from, for example, the local ward members in Fiji, or the work site members, those that we're going to be working alongside the foreman in Tahiti. They have asked us, in order for us to even be allowed to come and participate and work and serve there this summer, they have asked that we are fully vaccinated to protect them and their people, and just to make sure that we're all safe and healthy. So this, yes, it is a requirement for this year. Izzy, do you want to talk about what a regular day on the trip looks like?
Yep. So the builders will wake up bright and early. They'll do scripture study, eat breakfast, and travel to the work site. And then they'll work until lunch, eat lunch, work all afternoon. And then when they return back to the hotel, they'll shower, get ready, have a little bit of time to rest, go to dinner. And then in the evening, there's always some kind of fun activity, oftentimes with the local ward and the local youth. So they can really get those experiences, immersing themselves in the culture. And then I'll just do anything else on that. But then I will say for the scripture study and different devotionals that they'll do at nighttime, someone had asked, do they need all 4 books of scripture? We recommend at least bringing the Book of Mormon, but if they have room and weight in their luggage to bring their quad, bring it. I personally loved having my quad as a trip leader, being able to have all of the resources. And it was fun for the kids to have it as well, especially because they won't have, you can't rely on having everything on their gospel library app. It'll be cool for them to have it all.
Yeah. Great, Izzy, thank you. Kind of going back to this regular day as well, just another thought that I remembered is it may vary a little bit from that. So sometimes some of these locations, like it's a normal custom for them to be like home and done and not out and about in the evenings. And so sometimes you'll end at the work site and you'll go straight to like your ward or local activity, and then you'll do dinner. So kind of depending on the local culture and customs, it may switch a little bit, but that is a pretty regular day. So yeah. Okay, let's keep going. How safe is my trip location? So I'll talk a little bit about this, and then I'll also maybe have Katie jump in here, where she's the kind of program designer. She's working so closely with the locals, but safety is HXP's #1 priority, number one priority above everything else. So when traveling, obviously internationally, there is never any guarantee that anything is going to be 100% safe. It's always a risk, but we do everything we can. That's from making sure that the locations and hotels that we're staying in have been vetted and looked through. We look through the reviews of these locations to make sure that everything is okay and that there's not anything bad there. We actually work and write directly with International SOS. So International SOS is the world's largest third-party support company. And so they are with us. We get updates from them all the time about, it could be anything from there was a civil unrest to there's an earthquake to there's just something dangerous in this area. We get immediate updates about this all the time. And then if there was ever to be anything that would to be happen, they are the company that helps us do anything from getting in and out of the country if there was a security issue. Each of our trip leaders are heavily trained. There's a very, very in-depth training. All of them are CPR certified. Every trip leader, both trip leaders have a cell phone, and those cell phones have service 100% of the time. So they're always in contact with the office, which we here at the office, we have a 24-hour headquarters staff that's kind of on call at all times for whatever it is. So Katie, I don't know if you have anything else to say about like just you working with local, coordinators and safety.
Yeah, so we also have a local coordinator in every single location that I work with directly, and I've been able to go to most of these places and meet with them, and I talk with them, and we me and them are in contact every day. So if they're gonna be kind of like also the eyes and ears at the work site and wherever our groups are. So if there is anything, they will always bring it to me. And I always work with them, and they make sure if there's any ever like an emergency, they know how to like how it works in that local area, and so they know what to do.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. All right. Let's go to this next question.
Perfect. How will food allergies be accommodated? Maybe Katie can say something on this as well. But the health information that you share with HXP is shared in confidence with the trip leaders. And if there are any special accommodations, the local coordinators and the food providers will assist in getting appropriate meals. Like Katie said, and we feel confident in the food providers, and everyone's wanting and willing to help out the builders. Also, definitely bring snacks, because although we encourage the builders to immerse themselves in the culture and try different things and different foods that they wouldn't be able to try in America, sometimes a little taste of home is something that the builders need to keep on going.
Perfect.
Anything
Katie,
else you
anything
wanna
else
say
to
on
say about that?
The only thing I would say is, yeah, we've talked to all of the food providers, and they just like to know beforehand if there are any food allergies. So just make sure that your builders are communicating with their trip leaders if there are any allergies or any preferences, things like that. A lot of times builders feel like, oh, I don't want to say something because I don't want to be that one kid that's everyone has to accommodate, or like, I don't want to, be a pain, or are they going to send me home if I have this food allergy? No, we're not. We just want to know beforehand so we can prepare so that the food providers know what to buy before they get there. So just make sure your builders are like upfront and honest about that, and help them know that like we will make sure that everyone feels comfortable. And at the end of the day, we just want everyone to like be eating enough, and like our trip leaders know to like make sure they are like getting the nutrients they need so that they have the energy for the work site. So if you have your builders like be honest with the trip leaders on that, then we can make sure we accommodate to all their needs.
Perfect. Thanks, Katie. Okay, let's keep going.
So do we require a physical for the health portion? We do not require a physical. However, we do require that a doctor approves the health information provided, which often comes in form of you getting the builders getting a physical. Most of you, I'm sure, have done that. So if you have more questions and things on that health portion, you can give us a call or email us. And then, because that is a checklist item, the next one, when is the latest time to get a passport / pay for my trip? If you just added, you'll definitely need to expedite your passport. These Oceana trips are a little bit more strict on some of these things than some of our other trips. So if you have questions or concerns about not getting your passport in time, then give us a call and we can help you out or move things around too. We want you on our trips, and we're willing to do whatever we can to help you, but some of these things are above what we have power over. And then if you did add, April 1st is the last day we can accept late payments, which is tomorrow. So hopefully you
Yes.
guys are all paid.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Izzy. Okay. Do the builders have to bring their own hard hats, and when will we know what tool to bring? Yes. Yes. Every builder needs to bring their own hard hats. Amazon is a great place to find, like, literally, I think they're $11 and you can get them in any color of the rainbow, which is kind of fun because the builders can bring a hot pink one or a lime green one or an orange one, whatever color they want, make it personalized. They will also need to bring their own gloves and boots or shoe covers for working with cement. We've had just way too many times happen where a builder, they're mixing cement and they're standing right in the pile of cement, and that doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, but it actually most oftentimes will burn their skin. So to keep safe and not run into that, if you have some sort of like silicone boots that they want to bring, if they're working with cement that day, that's great. Or there are like silicone shoe covers that are like the size of a boot, but they're not as like bulky and heavy as a boot. That is another great option because it's a lot easier to pack in your suitcase and can just kind of be slipped on if needed. It's also great to bring a refillable water bottle, even one that is temperature controlling. I'm not thinking of the word right now, like a thermal type of water bottle so that it'll keep their water nice and cold throughout the day while they're working. We will always have clean water, bottled water, like the big blue jugs. And so that is a great thing. Just to, we'll make sure builders are always drinking. And then as far as what tool to bring, this is honestly going to be one of those kinds of things that is probably going to be one of the last minute things that you're going to be running to the store to buy before your builder packs up and gets on the plane within the next couple of days. So this kind of, it all depends on how far the previous trip got with the project. So say trip number or group number 3, they were, laying rocks and cement and they're using trowels and they thought they were going to be done. And so the next group was going to maybe be bringing paintbrushes, but they didn't quite get done. Then that trip leader that is in the country at that time will communicate with the trip leader that's coming with your group and say, hey, we're actually not quite done. So we need you to bring trowels for this group as well. So that will be like a last minute thing, but it just kind of depends on how much work gets done every day. And they're usually small things. It's like a small level, a small trowel, a paintbrush. Those are the kinds of things. No wheelbarrows, no shovels, nothing like that. Okay. Let's see here. When will we learn more about the trip leaders and parent builders? This is a great question. So 90 days before your trip starts, at the same time as that flight info goes live on your portal, you will be able to see the GroupMe link. So jump in the GroupMe. The GroupMes currently are only for builders. And we do that just because we want the builders to be comfortable, get to know each other without parents and administrators watching and looking over them. So let the builders get to know each other, have fun. And then in mid-May, after the trip leader training, the trip leaders and the parent builders, the 4 of them, will jump into the group and start getting to know the group. They'll get to do FaceTime calls with their trip leaders before they leave. And so they will get to know them before they show up to the airport and meet them in person for the first time. Okay, do you want to talk about parent builders?
Yes, so if your trip still needs a parent builder and you're thinking of maybe being one, but you're afraid of ruining your child's experience, first, you're totally validated. This is a fear that a lot of parents have. However, way more often than not, parents come home from the trip and have had such a positive experience with their child that they can't imagine having not done it with them, and having those experiences with that digital detox in a different country and like experiencing these different cultures together. That is like incredible bonding for these families. Plus, the parent builders aren't there just to be with their kid. They're extra eyes and ears for everybody, including the trip leaders. Oftentimes, the trip leaders will have to be working out logistics with the local coordinator, the foreman, and they can't be everywhere at once. And as a trip leader, having gone, knowing that the parent builder that they both are watching the kids and like being with them and bonding with them, and there's a lot of experience that you guys have, obviously, that we don't, being young 20-year-olds, that really is priceless to us as trip leaders as well as to the builders. It's amazing. And if you're thinking of you wanting to do it, then call us and email us, and we'd love to set it up for you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, great question. When will you provide a packing list? They're actually already all linked to your builder portal. So on your builder portal, just the normal homepage, right as you log in, the bottom left corner as you scroll down, it'll say packing list, and you can click on that and it'll take you to be able to select the region and the trip that you're going on to see the packing list. If there's like more specifics about questions about packing list, wait till your trip leaders join the GroupMe in May, and then they'll be able to ask their trip leaders more specific questions. And so they'll have a little bit more experience there. Okay, what kind of church activities will the builders be involved in? This is a great question. So our trips are really designed to connect with the locals and the wards. We work so closely with the wards, the bishops. Our local coordinators are always a member of the church in each country. So we'll do several activities with the ward for evening activities. That could be anything from a talent show to a ward dance to cooking or creating something in the kitchen that's like a local food or local treat. It could be a sports night. It could be karaoke night. It could be a lot of things. And so it's so fun to be able to get with the youth of the wards, to get with the members of the ward. They'll participate in Sunday activities. On Sundays, they'll go to church and do missionary splits if COVID's permits it, depending on each location. And some of them are way more strict than others. So that is kind of what church activities they're involved in. And then I'll cover this next one, then I'll let Izzy talk about temples. What does the builder's lodging and food look like? So most times we're getting hotels or Airbnbs. And a lot of times these places where the builders are staying, it's like the whole place is rented out for just our groups. So there's a lot of times not even anyone else there. The food is provided either by the hotels or the places that we're staying at, the venues, local food vendors, restaurants, local ward members that have food businesses, builders. We will always sleep 3 or more in a room. So we have the rule of 3 for the whole entire trip. This is literally for every single thing. We never ever let builders be in 2s or 1 on their own. They will always be in the rule of 3 or more. It's actually one of the deal breakers that if they don't follow along, it is something that can get them sent home, because we truly, truly believe that it's so important to keep our builders safe. And then just like what we said earlier, fresh bottled water is provided for everyone so that everyone is safe and hydrated. So
Nice. Will they be going to the temple at the beginning or the end of their trip? We try to add the temple to the end of our trip itineraries to end on a spiritual note. At the end of the trip, the builders have bonded so much over so many different things that they're a lot more vulnerable and a lot more comfortable sharing their testimonies and having these like final like cap to the trip. Anyhow, but like it's written here, so it looks like Thailand will be attending the LA temple and everybody else will be attending the temple in their trip location. So for Thailand, it will be, they'll come to LA and then have that little bit of time before the trip's over, even though they're back in the US, to go to the temple. And then when they go back to the airport, then the trip will be over.
yeah. Okay, great. Let's keep going. Let's see, we are almost done as well. This is kind of our last set of slide questions. And then we will kind of see if there's any other questions in the chat that maybe we haven't covered. So do the builders need to bring a backpack? So this year we're giving out brand new, really fun and bright colored Coda packs and fanny packs to each builder. In past years, we've given out backpacks. This year we're giving out fanny packs. And honestly, we're so stoked for these fanny packs because we know that they're going to be such a great tool for keeping our builders, again, safe while traveling and sightseeing. A lot of times the backpacks can get filled with so many things, and a backpack can be really, really easy for someone to walk by with scissors or a knife and cut the strap, and immediately the backpack's off of the builder's back. And so a fanny pack, having it right around your waist and up on the front of you so that your money and your things like that are safe with you, it's honestly going to be such a game changer. We're so excited. So yes, everyone will get it's called like a builder packet in about May. You'll get a builder packet and it'll have your fanny pack, it'll have your t-shirt. Everyone will wear the exact same t-shirt to get to the airport, so it's easy to find everyone and travel together. And then let's see, will we get a detailed itinerary of the trip details? So we actually don't give out very specific detailed itinerary for our trips. And the reason why is because of security. So we in the past have had some security scares where someone got a hold of the information of where the builders would be at a certain time. They made some sort of cyber security. So like online and through social media, they made some sort of threat that they were going to actually go and hurt the group. And so we have just learned that it is best to not give out the information because, again, our number one priority is safety. When traveling, you never know what's going to happen. And we would never want to put any builder or trip in danger or even at risk of danger. So we keep this information kind of private, and it's purely because of that. As well as sometimes the itineraries and actual details of the trips can kind of be crazy as far as details of coming here and there and those kinds of things. And so it can be a little confusing for parents. And so we just kind of keep it private. We really care about the safety of our builders. So.
And how do we know what kind of COVID tests we'll need to travel? It's pretty dependent on where you're going, but we've sent out an email last Friday that included your COVID-19 details. Like it's written here, it was titled HXP COVID-19 update. And you can find the same information on our website, and Kate's put it in this chat. And the information will be updated as things change. As you guys know, COVID is never consistent. So keep your eye on that and just know that we are doing the best we can to keep that updated. And we want to keep you guys and we want to keep the people in the locations that we're going to safe.
Perfect. Okay. The last thing, this is kind of the end of our pre-submitted questions, but before we let people start going because we're right at that 45 minutes. This is our phone number, our office hours, and our phones are turned on from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And then on Fridays, they turn off at 3 p.m. because we have big staff meetings. And that's Mountain Time, Utah time, as well as our email. We have an average response rate or time of about 2.5 hours. So please email us with questions. We'll get right back to you as soon as we can. And then something exciting that we're kind of doing for the next 4 Mondays in April. It'll be a similar sort of thing like what we're doing today, minus like the pre-submitted questions and the slideshow. But it'll kind of be acting as, say, an office hour kind of a thing where you can hop in, ask your question, and hop out. So every Monday in April for those 4 Mondays, there'll be what we're calling our live support Zoom meeting. And so it's from the same time, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Jump on, ask your questions. Again, this isn't like, we're not going to be sharing anything that's like, oh man, if I can't hop on, I'm missing something. It's purely like you are filling out, well, for these trips, you don't need a visa, but someone maybe going to Africa would be filling out a visa and they have a question about the application. They can hop on really quick, ask their question, and then jump out. So that is an option. Come and ask your questions. Come and hang out with us. Say hi. We'd love to see your faces. So if you need to go, that is totally great. We're so grateful for you being here. If you have more questions, you can put them in the chat and we'll kind of start going through some of those now to see what it is that maybe we've missed. We want to make sure that we get to everyone's questions. And then we'll try to end here at about right on the hour. So let's see. Someone asking about, they're worried about getting a COVID test 24 hours prior to traveling because of the 4th of July holiday. This is a very good point. So again, I would say check your COVID blog. These trips and these locations, their COVID testing requirements are honestly changing day after day. I feel like every morning we come to the office, it's like a new update for every country. So check that. It may completely be that they don't even have to have one by the time they get there, or it may be that they do. So that is a great question. And also, yes, thank you, Kate, so much for posting that in there. We did put a survey in the chat. We would love to hear your feedback on how this meeting was, if you felt like it was beneficial, tips or things, ideas that you feel like we could maybe do to do better for future meetings like this. So if you get a minute, we would love for you to fill out that survey. We'd be really appreciative of that. Let's see what other questions we maybe have coming in. Thailand health insurance. Yes, let's maybe chat about that. And Hollis, I don't know if you know anything about this either, but I know that Thailand requires health insurance to get into Thailand. I know that Katie, she had to step out for another meeting, but she this morning was talking about how they've already been making some updates on that COVID blog. The COVID blog talks about this. So I would lead you to that. And then if from there you don't have the answers that you need, please reach out to us and email us and call us because we're here to help. But yes, it is required to have that travel insurance. I believe what they're really worried about is that they want to make sure that your health insurance plan that you have has coverage for COVID. In fact, I think even the wording on the Thailand site, it says something along the lines of like, please make sure that you read the fine print to make sure that you're covered for what they're wanting to see when you get to the country. So read that COVID blog post. That information should be in there. And if not, reach out to us and we'll give you some more information. Let's see. Do Hawaii builders need the original vaccination cards too? Yes, please. If you're everyone should be vaccinated going on these trips, whether you're going to Hawaii or Fiji or Africa or wherever, unless you have some sort of medical condition that keeps your builder from getting the vaccine and you've received an exemption from us. Everyone else should have the vaccine. And so yes, please bring those vaccination cards with you, the original cards. Let's see. Our trip returns to LA for a day before they return home. Will you give us their return international flight information? If that information is not already on your flight info tab of your portal, then reach out to us and we can give you that info. That is a great question here, Kristen. Trip insurance. This is a great question. If you go to our home website, humanitarianxp.org, and in the search bar, you can just type in trip insurance. We have a great blog post that's been written with some good links for some locations you can, companies you can look into for travel insurance. We're not insurance specialists, and so it's kind of hard for us to be able to give you some good, information on that, but those are some good places to start. Let's see. Let's see. Luggage, a carry-on. Do you recommend a carry-on backpack? So for most of these trips, you are allowed to have a check bag, a carry-on, and a personal item. A lot of times when we travel, our check bag is the big suitcase you check. Your carry-on is like a roller suitcase, that's the carry-on size, and then a backpack is like your personal item. I would say that is fine. I would just make sure you check with each of these places because sometimes they have a little bit of a different policy on that. But I would say my number one tip is pack less than you think. Naturally, you're going to want to pack a lot more, and your builder is going to soon realize that we do a lot of moving and shifting from this vehicle to this hotel to this weekend sightseeing and things like that, and it starts to become kind of a pain to carry a lot of stuff. So the lighter you can pack, the better. And honestly, you're only there for about 2 weeks, and so you shouldn't need much. Let's see. If you are interested in seeing, going through these slides with your builders after, you can email us now that our meeting's about over. Email us at this email that you see on the slide, and just in the subject line, if you'll put Oceana slide request, and we will send those slides over to you. It's great information, great question, Stephanie. Let's see. If someone tests positive for COVID while in country prior to coming home, this is a great question, Nate. So we do have everything already set up as far as what we would do if that was to happen. Say they're on trip 3 and this was to happen. Luckily, we have 2 more trips coming up after them where they can stay with that trip and quarantine until they can test positive to get back into the United States. It is in our COVID policy that if something was like this to happen towards the very end of the trip, or there was some situation to where we wouldn't be able to stay with you because the group is traveling to another place and your builder is stuck where they're at, it does become your responsibility to take care of that. And that may require that you fly out to be with them. But honestly, it's not probably a very likely thing, but you can always go read our COVID policies on that and reach out to us if you have more questions. Great question. Let's see. Thank you, Kate, for putting some more good info in our chat. Let's see. M. Smith. So you say that you're from Canada and you don't have a vaccine card like those in the US have. I would maybe reach out to your doctor and see what they recommend, because I would think that no matter where if you're from Canada or the US and you're traveling internationally, and let's say the place you're going to requires a vaccine card, they would have one to provide you. If not, reach out to us and we can see what else we can do for you. Does it matter how long ago since they got the vaccine? No. Great question, Summer. As long as they're fully vaccinated, the one dose of the Johnson & Johnson or the 2 doses, that is good enough. Unless you're from those 2 trips, Jerusalem and Malta, that are requiring the booster. You'll want to make sure that they have that. And I believe that they'll need to be fully vaccinated. And if it is the booster, that needs to be done. I believe that has to be finished 2 weeks before they go on their trip for it to like technically be valid. Let's see. Can we see a replay of this recording? We are not sending out the recording of this due to some just like legal things internally here within the office, but we're more than happy to send out these slides. So you can again email us and request the slides and we can get them to you. Let's see. If we arrive from Canada to US a couple days ahead of the trip in a different city, do we still put our daughter's arrival info on in the profile page? M. Smith, for that's probably more like if you are flying out of, let's say LAX, and you're in LAX 3 days before you're flying out, that's probably going to be more of you're driving to the airport in LAX. So we probably want to know like the driving information of you coming rather than them coming in from a connecting flight. Let's see here. Great question. For Jordan, is there a blacklist of countries that can't be visited 2 weeks before the trip? I read the blog, but can't find the answer to this. If it's not on the blog, then no. I believe that most of the countries that we're going to have lifted, if they even ever did have a blacklist of countries you can't travel to before going. And so, yeah, the CDC is always a great website to check, CDC website, or there's a website that's called travel.state.gov. It's a government issued website. You can select the country that you're traveling to, and it's a really great place to be able to find some of the information. Again, if you can't find what you're looking for, or you feel like you haven't found a clear enough answer, you can always reach out to us. Our program designers, day in and day out, are always up to date on this information. And so we're in communication as well with our local coordinators. So that is a great question. Let's see. Yes, the builders do have to take a COVID test before re-entering the US. So on everyone's portal, just about maybe a week ago, I may be off on my days a little bit, my days and weeks, but about a week ago-ish, we posted the fee for what it's going to cost for your builder to be tested to get back into the US. The US does require every person to be tested and have a negative result to be able to get back into the US. So that is something that we've partnered up with a third-party COVID testing company to where the whole group will do it as one group at the hotel before they come back. It works very, very well. And we did it for every single one of our trips this last summer. And so there is a charge probably on your portals for that to go pay for that COVID test. Great, great question, Miriam. Okay, it looks like I have a question from Amanda or Amanda Jones. You have your hand raised. What is your question? How can we help you? Maybe Amanda also already put her question in the chat. Maybe I just didn't recognize that's who I was talking to. Amanda, yeah, do you have a question? I see you raising your hand. If you want to unmute yourself, we can. Are you there, Amanda?
I didn't know my hand was up. Sorry.
Let's see, Amanda, if you have your question, oh, are you unmuted now? Can we hear you, Amanda?
Yes, my question was answered. Thank you.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. All right. Will the next meeting at 1 have similar questions answered? Wondering if I should cancel my other appointment to attend, or if it'll be similar to this and I could join towards the end. Great question, Angeline. So it will be very similar. There may be some slight differences between information that we give out just because they are different kinds of trips. But again, if you can't make it, that's totally fine. There's never anything crucial that, like, if you weren't to come to this meeting and you didn't get it, that you would be missing out on. And so you are more than welcome also just to email us after 1 or after about 2 p.m. and just request those slides and we can give you, because there may be some slight differences for you. Do you have parent builder to parent leaders for all the trips? So every trip does require a parent mom and a parent dad to come. And so if your child's trip does not have a parent builder, on your portal when you log in, there's like a gold banner at the very top and it tells you, hey, this trip still has a spot open. Feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to get that filled. Let's see. Great question, Lydia. Why is the COVID test so high? Every trip, it varies from country to country. Some countries even require that like 2 or 3 tests be done to be able to get back in. So yeah, it kind of just depends on the trip itself. So great question. If you have more questions about that, you can reach out to us. Let's see. Any other questions? If not, we will wrap up and head out.
Thanks for joining us today, y'all. We're grateful that you're all here so we could help answer your questions, and information oftentimes leads to peace and assurance, and we want to make sure that you guys feel peaceful about sending your builders with us this summer, because we know it's a lot and your mommy and daddy hearts are probably feeling for your kids. So we got you. We got you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much. Again, if you have any other questions, please reach out to us. It looks like I've got 2 more questions I'll answer on really quick. Someone's asking, if you don't get a parent builder, will you cancel the trip? No, it's not likely that we will. We do have to have a parent builder for every single trip. So we do have staff members here in the office that if last minute we don't get a parent builder, we will send one of our own staff members off on the trip. But we would love for you to come if you can make it. And then the last question, someone says that their builder portal says it's 70% complete, even though they've completed all needed items. we do know that that is a thing. I think whoever designed the back end of our system, our program designer or our website designer may have made one of the last things, which is kind of the long tweak item. They've made it like 30%. So it is a little confusing and I'm sorry because my OCD and perfectionist, I want to see that my portal is 100% complete, that I've done everything. So thanks for being patient with us and we're so grateful for you being here. So thank you so much for joining us. We hope you have a great day. And if you want to see these slides, please email us and we'll get them to you. Have a great day, everyone. See you later.